YouTube, hey there, it's Casey. I'm at TaxSaleAcademy.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to record an episode for you for the Tax Sale Podcast. If you'd like to listen to podcasts, check us out, TaxSalePodcast.com. But if you'd prefer to watch us record on the video format, you're in the right place. Just let me know that you enjoy these video recordings by clicking that thumbs up button. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Let's go ahead and record that audio podcast right now. Welcome to the Tax Sale Podcast, where tax sale investing is made easy. My name is Casey Dimon. I'm a tax sale veteran. I'm the leading tax sale expert. I am the author of the Tax Sale Playbook, founder of the Tax Sale Academy, and I am your host right here on the Tax Sale Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me on today's podcast episode. This is a completely free podcast brought to you through and because of the Tax Sale Academy. If you are looking to learn more about investing in tax-defaulted real estate, just head on over to TaxSaleAcademy.com. Again, the website, TaxSaleAcademy.com. I wanted to discuss an extremely important topic with you today that many people tend to jump the gun on just a little bit, or they don't know exactly how to go about it. I'm talking about hiring out your tax sale help. There are numerous situations when it would be a very smart idea to get some help. Now, we're going to go over them in today's podcast episode, but I want you to also understand how important it is to not put the thought of hiring others on some sort of pedestal. So outside of real estate, I've owned other businesses where I've had employees on payroll, up to 17 at one point. What I soon discovered is that I went from owning a business to owning the responsibility of managing those employees instead. While it's exciting to create jobs, it's exciting to help others, and every other positive aspect of hiring people, there's just numerous of them. It can get very, very challenging very quickly. So be sure to tread lightly. Don't do it just out of goodwill. Make sure you need it in your tax sale business. But hiring some sort of staff can be helpful in many situations. Your business could get to the point where your hands are simply tied because you don't have enough time. You might need someone to help out with research, organization, or simply office tasks. You could also start investing out of an area where you need someone to be your eyes and your ears local to that area. Or there are a number of other different situations that could necessitate help. There are two primary reasons you would compensate anybody for help: to help save you time and to help save you money. We would often need to compare these to the cost of hiring that person in order to make an educated decision. So keep that in mind. Now, we can break down the types of help into three basic categories. These are very important to understand when you're thinking about getting help for your tax sale business. The first one is a full-time, full-blown employee, someone that you pay with a paycheck. You take the taxes out and all that fun stuff. Somebody who works for you on a very regular basis to help you at your tax sale business. This could be 5 hours a week or 50 hours a week, and is someone that will report directly to you and works when you tell them that they're supposed to work. For the majority of investors listening to this will likely not be too helpful for you. It could become a necessity if you're doing phone sales, showings, or you have some sort of specific process that you'd have to have somebody handle for you, or if you're investing a lot of money every single year, you're doing a lot of deals. But to hire a full-time employee, you're going to need to make sure you have sufficient cash flows to pay for that person. Don't take this lightly, because many businesses fail because of employee costs. If you're doing one deal a month, you probably don't need to hire a full-time employee. All that person will do is end up sucking cash flow out of your business. So strongly consider what you're doing, the income you have coming in, before you commit to putting that income out with somebody that is full-time. An employee could really do anything that you trust them with. I remind all tax sale investors that you should be extremely careful in trusting anyone besides yourself with making decisions about what to invest in or what to pay for a piece of property. You could use others for assistance with this type of stuff, but trusting someone to invest your money is asking for disaster. Hiring an employee for your tax sale business is just like hiring an employee for any other business. There are a number of different areas where you can find qualified applicants. It's just a matter of finding one that you can work well with and whose income requirements meet your abilities. The second type of help that you can get for your tax sale business can be on an as-needed but ongoing arrangement with an independent contractor. An independent contractor is someone that works for you as needed. Now, this arrangement could be a one-and-done type relationship, but for the sake of this section, we're going to refer to this type of arrangement as an ongoing or semi-regular arrangement, okay? So an independent contractor will usually work for a per task or otherwise agreed upon fee and will work to satisfy your job requirements. You simply pay them their fee. You don't have to worry about payroll taxes and filing requirements, that kind of stuff, like you would with an employee. At the end of the year, you'd issue that person what's called a 1099, and you would also file one with the IRS. This allows you to write off that expense and, of course, requires them to pay the taxes on that as an independent contractor or self-employed person. Now, it's important to note that you cannot require an independent contractor to do some stuff, right? You can't require them to say, you must be here every day from 8 to 5. Because when you do stuff like that, there's a fine line there. There's a gray area, and you need to consult your accountant, your attorney, whoever you trust for professional advice, because you run the risk of that person then becoming considered an employee, which falls under a completely different set of laws, which would require payroll taxes and lots of paperwork and that kind of stuff. So independent contractors can be utilized in many different manners and are very, very helpful to most tax sale investors. Let's go over a few different examples. So I've got a friend who used to work at a title company doing title searches before she retired. She has a few clients that pay her anytime they need a title search for their own benefit. She does very, very well in this in her spare time. The investors get the information that they need, and everybody benefits. She's an independent contractor for those investors. Another example would be an area where you invest heavily in, but you are not local to. You could hire somebody in that area as an independent contractor to run errands for you, to take photos, to go to the county office, even attend auctions on your behalf if you wanted to. Another example could be somebody that could assist you with the research. Again, I highly suggest you do not allow anyone to do all of your research. Instead, what you can do is use somebody to perform the baseline research for you. After training, they can help determine if it's vacant or perhaps improved. Then they can find the assessed value. Essentially, someone can read a property appraiser's report, take that information, put it into a spreadsheet for you, and you can go line by line, knocking out properties very quickly. Along the same lines is someone that could simply help with data entry. They could pull the tax sale list, put it into an Excel format, along with that baseline research that we discussed, and then it's ready for you to take over and finish up. Using an ongoing independent contractor arrangement is very popular and extremely, extremely helpful for tax sale investors. It might not be necessary from the get-go. It might not be necessary day one, but as your business grows, it will help you out and it will probably become a necessity for you. A great place to find help like this is going to be through referrals and word of mouth. Now, if you're not able to find who you're looking for, you can always take resumes in, post ads, that kind of stuff. Now, something to note is that these folks usually will not work in your office, which is a good thing in my opinion. They'll work remotely from their homes or wherever they're located, which might be down the street, or it could be in an entirely different country when we're talking about utilizing VAs or virtual assistants. The pay, of course, will vary substantially, but it would certainly be less than hiring somebody in-house full-time. The last type of help will be those that we are considering hiring for task-oriented projects. They're there to assist you on a one-time basis. With this type of arrangement, you simply ask somebody to do something, you give them their fee, and they're on their way, right? It's like hiring someone off Google to pressure wash your house. Call them, they provide the service, you pay them, that arrangement, it's over, okay? Let me go over a few examples where this can help you out and how you can best utilize the task-oriented type help. A very common example for tax sale investors is to use locals for drive-bys and property photos if you're thinking about purchasing a specific piece of property. Now, maybe this is an area that you don't invest in a whole lot. You don't need that ongoing relationship. So you find this person. It can be an extremely cheap way to get a better idea about what's on the property opposed to traveling to the property yourself and, of course, the expense required with that. Another example could be hiring somebody to do a trash out on a building you just purchased. Many tax defaulted homes will need to be cleaned up in order to satisfy the city, so it's easy to hire somebody, send them over, pay them to clean it out, whether you're local or not, and then the relationship is most of the time going to be over after that. Another example could be for mowing a property, shoveling snow, or otherwise cleaning up that yard. It's going to be easier and faster just to pay somebody to do that task, a task-oriented job, than to handle it yourself. And obviously, there's many other tasks as well. Now, this type of arrangement is by far going to be the cheapest type of help that is available to you. But it'll also require the least amount of knowledge and training, and consequently is going to be the least reliable. So be careful about the complexity and the difficulty of the task that you assign to that person, and be certain your instructions are 100% foolproof, and even then, expect mistakes to be made from time to time. So if I hire somebody to take photos, for example, of a piece of property I'm thinking about buying, what I'll do, I'll provide a map, I'll give them cross streets with the measurements to those cross streets, neighboring buildings, perhaps pictures of those neighboring buildings, arrows, Google Street View images, aerial images, and anything else that I can find to assist them to make sure they take photos of the right property. And then what I'll do is I'll still ask to have them take photos at certain angles. That way I can see easily recognizable landmarks in the background that I can then compare to places like Google Street View, just to make sure they're standing in the right spot to take those photos. Now, the usual places to hire this task-oriented help is going to be websites like Craigslist and other local help-wanted sites. These tasks are meant to be supplemental income to that person, and they should be very cheap. Taking photos, for example, should be handled by somebody that is nearby that specific piece of property. It could be like $10 or so. And what I'll usually do is I'll give them a little bit of an extra. I'll give them maybe an extra $5 if they did a good job and the property photos are useful for me. Again, take whatever you get with a grain of salt and have a way to verify it. So there you have it. 3 different types of help for your tax sale business. I'm all about growing and using your time and your money wisely, but I also think you should get help when needed. And again, my strong piece of advice when it comes to hiring help is to think carefully about making that long-term commitment to a full-time employee. Start off with a small task-oriented help, work your way up to somebody that's on a semi-regular basis, and then and only then, when you determine you need somebody on a full-time basis, that's going to be the time to hire that employee. I truly hope that this episode has helped you when it comes to hiring the help you need or might potentially need in your tax sale business. We are so thankful that you take the time to listen to this podcast, and we are hopeful that we're able to make just a small difference on your quest for tax sale success. If we do help you at all, please consider leaving us some positive feedback on whatever podcasting platform you're listening to us on today. And if we can help in any way, there are a number of important links down below in today's show notes. Many of those are free resources, and there's a couple that are premium resources. You can find all those, again, in the show notes. Take care and make it a successful day. See ya.